Hello, it's Umar Racing. In this video, I'll be replacing the brake rotors on the Hyundai Veloster N. I have the performance package, so the brake rotors and the calipers are a little bit bigger. I got the R1 Concept slotted rotors. I initially wasn't planning to get new rotors, but there was a really good sale, like a 30% off sale. They have pretty regular sales. If you're looking to buy R1 Concept rotors, don't buy them at full price. Like, just wait a little bit. There'll be like a 30% off sale. So yeah, got them, two of them, the Geomet coated ones for $130, I think. I think that's a fantastic price for two cast rotors, which are pretty much similar to, almost same as the OEM rotors. They're both pretty heavy. I didn't check the weights, I don't have a scale to look at, but they're both pretty heavy. The process is very easy. I already finished one side, taking my time and doing it slowly. Honestly, if you do it really quickly, you could swap the rotors and maybe in like under 30 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, if you have the right tools. Again, I was taking my time. You need a 14mm and a 17mm socket. The 17mm is to remove the kind of like the caliper assembly, and then the 14 is to remove the sliding part. I would remove the sliding part first, remove the bottom bolt, so that if you remove the top one, it will move back. It'll be kind of harder to remove. Loosen them both at the same time. It will make it easier to take them off, because when you're taking them off, if you're loosening them, it will try to rotate the caliper. So that's one tip. Another thing is that just make sure you have a long enough breaker bar, or if a very powerful impact wrench, you can take off the back of the caliper assembly. Torque values for these caliper bolts are around 30 foot-pounds. The range is around 27 to 32, I think. And the caliper assembly, the 17 mil ones, are close to 90 foot-pounds. The range is around from 80 to 92, I think. Yeah, just pick one of them. I just stuck to like 90 and then around 30 here. And then there are two screws here. Just need a screwdriver. You might not be able to remove them with a screwdriver. I used an impact. One of the screwdrivers I have like a diamond tip. Don't use those kind of screwdrivers, because they will just strip the living hell out of these bolts. So if you look at the hardness scale of elements, diamond is one of the hardest materials. So if you try to remove just a regular bolt, it will strip it. So just use like one of those, like these tips that come with your, like the whole set. This is a DeWalt tip. I just put it on impact and removed it. And then after that, you just pretty much shake the rotor, it comes right off, and then put the new one in. You could use these bolts again to kind of secure it instead of putting a lug nut. You don't really need those bolts. The lug nuts will hold the rotors, but to make the installation easier, those bolts do help, so just use them. Yeah, and then after that, just install everything back. This is a very easy job to do. The way I install the rotors is that so that the slots are kind of opening up towards, as you're rotating, they're kind of going in the opposite way almost. Since these the R1 Concept rotors are not directional and they're vents, it doesn't matter which side you put them on. So yeah, let's get started with the install. I'll loosen both of the bolts out. So make sure when you take off the caliper, you have somewhere to rest it, and make sure the brake lines are not stretched out. I have a box here that I put in so that there's no stress on the brake lines and everything, so everything is pretty relaxed. Now we're gonna remove the caliper assembly. This one will be a little bit trickier because it's a little bit tougher to remove. So let's loosen these up. Here we go. I'll just hold the caliper assembly. Make sure to take off the washer as well and not drop it. There we go. And here's the caliper assembly. Take out the bolt. So now I'll rotate this back so that we can use a screwdriver and remove it. This one was super easy to remove. Oh yeah. Last time these were taken out, they were done by the dealership, so they over tightened the ones on the other side, and these were pretty loose. Now you'll just shake the rotor back and forth, hit it a few times. Feel it move more. Here we go. The rotors are out. So how they look like, there's a good amount of layer of the stock pads, although you can see the middle has been worn out a little bit, but on the outer edges there's a little bit better layer. Now time to put on a mask and safety glasses and clean up this section with a wire brush. So because of COVID, I think everyone has a mask. Put on a mask and then just get a wire brush and clean up the hub a little bit. The smoother the surface is, the better the rotor will sit. Okay, once we finish cleaning the surface nicely and make it nice and smooth, we can just put the rotor back on. I didn't do like a perfect job, but I think it's good enough. There we go. You could also brush up the bolts as well a little bit. Screwdriver, and just screw it in. This will make it much easier, as you can see, to align the rotor to be completely flat. And I can just use an impact. Ooga dooga. The torque on these are like 8 foot-pounds. It's very secure. I will go get a brake cleaner. Just clean the rotor a little bit. I already cleaned this thoroughly. Just want to make sure I clean it a little bit better. And just kind of go over it once, in case I accidentally put anything on it while I was putting it on. There's some stains and dirt on top of it, but none of it is oil. I already, again, like I said, I already cleaned off the rotor nicely of all the oil that it came with, because usually every brake rotor manufacturer will put some oil on the rotor so to keep it from rusting. Now I will rotate it back. I will install a rotor assembly back. As you can see, these are the pads. The back of the pads they look like they've been used, and still have a decent amount of pads left. Actually, before I put these in, I wanted to put some blue thread locker on the caliper bolts. There was something on them from the factory, so here I have a Permatex blue Loctite. Here, just put just a little bit. Then let's slide these back in. Got a good thread. Put some blue Loctite on the other bolt, a little bit here, and then we'll put this other bolt in as well. Okay, so both of them are in. Now I'll get the impact and tighten those in. Again, these are around 90 foot-pounds. That's pretty much how much power my impact gives. I'm not over tightening anything. Now I would take the caliper from the other side and slide it over. Good old sliding calipers. Slid back in, the bolts in there, aligning these bolts as well. They are threading back in. Again, these are around 14 millimeters, but they're snug. These are, again, around 30 foot-pounds. So let's get a torque wrench and torque these babies down. So for the first one, I'll set it to 30. Now for the other one, it's around 90 foot-pounds. Might do slightly below. Maybe I'll do around 88 foot-pounds. The other side I did 88 as well. For no particular reason, that number sounded good to me. There we go. As you can see, my impact didn't tighten it that much. Everything is torqued to spec. We'll rotate this back. I'll put the wheel back. Also, for anyone asking, it's very easy to remove the dust shield. I'm sure you've noticed when I had the rotor off, there are just some bolts. Easy to take them out. Let's put the lug nuts back. I have one of those like Gorilla lug nuts. Impact these in. Everything is finished. That was a very easy install. They look pretty good so far. Once I break them in a little bit, it will obviously look a little bit different. The surface will change. Once I bed in the rotors next week, I'm going to be putting these Paget pads. These are the RST ones. Race pads. They're for rally and sprint races. I got these because of the good cold bite, and we'll see how they perform on track cross. So next week I will be putting these in. I am thinking about putting the end plate, the Veloster N plate, on the calipers back, and maybe remove the big cooling duct. The reason why I want to do that is that to generate extra heat. These pads require a lot of heat to burnish. They need to get it up to like 500, 600 C at least. I will be putting the GoPro on the fender and kind of facing towards the wheel. I have like a magnetic mount for the GoPro, which I'll put some kind of a tape to not scratch the paint, and then put tape on top of it so that I don't lose the GoPro. Anyways, if you have any questions about this, let me know. If you have any questions about brakes, brake pads, brake fluid, I'll be happy to answer any questions. Next week I'll also be bleeding the brakes. I'll be installing the RBF 600. I had an ATE Type 200 brake fluid. That one has like a much lower dry and wet boiling point. With the RBF 600 I should be in a better place. Plus I'll be bleeding the brakes more often. Yeah, again, if you have any questions, let me know. This was very fun to install. I didn't really have any frustrations. I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe.